Moiba, welcome to Don't Tell Me to Shut Up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be part of.
I'm happy to say that I've got you well lubricated.
Yes.
I meant
Yes.
with I made you a nice little
You
drink, and so
did.
you're good to go.
You did. I'm all
I
there.
cannot tell you how super excited I am to have this conversation with you. It's a couple of conversations that I want to have with you, twofold.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start with the most pressing issue of the moment, which is Jada Pinkett Smith
Ah.
or Jada Pinkett. I don't even know what it is these days.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many things to unpack here. Where do I begin? So first of all, let's go all the way back to the slap. I know people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to bring it back up, but it's important because I think now that she has a book out called Worthy, a lot of people are bringing up her past, not so much Will's past, because we really, honestly, we really don't know about either one. We're all speculating.
Correct.
So for me, I don't know if we ever had this full on conversation before, but for me, I've always felt that people crucified Jada and she didn't lift a hand. She didn't slap anybody. She did not encourage or prod Will to go smack Chris. He did that on his own. And I felt a lot of people were holding her accountable for something she didn't do. Now, there are a lot of people who say, yeah, but she's been holding Will hostage. She wears the pants in the family. She's bossing him around and, he's a wuss. I'm thinking to myself, okay, but the very thing that you are accusing her of, which is emasculating him, you're doing by saying he's not man enough to stand up to her. Okay?
Right.
That was the issue that I had with the slap. I did not agree that Will should have slapped Chris Rock at all.
Mm-hmm.
I do not condone violence in any way, unless you fuck around and find out.
I was about
But
to say. Yeah.
I don't condone violence, but I felt it was unfair for people to begin to just come down so hard on her. The other thing that I thought was unfair was for people to bring in the fact that he makes all the money and, if it weren't for him, I disagree with that. And I think it's unfair to bring in economics and the financial platforms that they have or don't
Mm-hmm.
into a conversation that ain't got nothing to do with that. That was also the problem that I had. So then I'm not even going to get into the entanglement. We'll get into that later. However, I have always been of the notion, let's wait until all the facts come out. Now, obviously, when it comes to the slap, we saw the facts. Doesn't matter what happened before or after. You did something, Will, that you should not have done. Yes, it was out of character. I felt bad because I felt as though this guy had a pristine reputation and 20, 25, 30 years of successes and a couple of seconds to tear it all away. So now she drops the book and everybody is up in arms saying she's the spawn of the devil and, she's a horrible person. And I can't help but think, and I get it, the whole Tupac thing, if you're married, I myself am not married. You are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you can speak to and attest to what it would feel like to be a husband whose wife was constantly talking about someone else. Please add to that the fact that we are now finding out they have not technically been together since 2016, which, mind you, was around the time of the entanglement. Now, I am not a rocket scientist. I don't claim to know everything, but what I do know is that if you decide to separate in 2016, it means that you've been having conversations about breaking this shit off for longer than a year.
Oh, without question.
Certainly not in that year. So I'm trying to be open because I don't know Jada.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a dog in this race. For me, it is all about a Black woman who is speaking her mind, telling a story about her life and everything that she went through, and she's being raked over the coals for it. What say you?
First of all, it's a lot to unpack.
It is
It's a
indeed.
lot to unpack. So first of all, I always say this because the Black woman is probably the most, I don't want to say hated, but it's the most mistreated person in America. So
Did
that's
you just say that?
I just said that. That's
And you're not saying it because you're in the presence of a black woman.
no. I'm saying it as a person who has a family, who had a mother, who has a daughter, who has a wife, who have sisters and friends, and have seen their experiences, and so yeah, I think naturally at first, we go to our hero. Our hero is Will Smith. We've seen him. We grew up with him from The Fresh Prince. Before that, from him and Jazzy Jeff to Fresh Prince of Bel Air to Bad Boys to all the movies. We've grown up with him, so we identify with him. We also grew up with Jada. We People forget that we grew up with Jada Pinkett Smith, and uh, that's another. I mean, that's the funny thing about this. Like, so it's a weird thing when I hear folks. It's funny because you have barbershop talk, you have salon talk, you have guy. There is a serious vitriol towards Jada over something that Will has done. Even now, I had friends, some friends hit me up with memes and stuff about Jada's book and the comments and that. Every time something happens to Will, Jada's behind it with going like this. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely crazy. But that goes to her being a black woman. We don't know what's going on, and I always say we don't know what's going on in these people's houses. We have no idea. For years people were speculating before that, hey, we want the Will and Jada kind of love. You've had songs that reference, I want that Will and Jada kind of love.
Yeah.
And then you heard rumors about all kind of, I mean, even if you're not a person that listens to gossip or you can't help but see it because you're inundated with social media and the stuff that comes about from it. So you got rumors that they had an open relationship and all this different kind of things. And then now, with I think the red table talk kind of brought things to the forefront where everybody's like, oh no, they have. I saw the interview. They were on there. I was like, oh, they have a beautiful understanding between them.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody's business. Then the slap happened, and I, as a artist, period, I was like, wow. I thought at first like everybody else, man. Why the words that came? Why did Jada let him do that? He's a grown man. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a grown man. Even my wife tells me to do stuff all the time. I don't do it. Like stuff I should be doing, right? I don't do it. So in that moment, for whatever reason, we decided to take the onus off of this grown, adult, smart, articulate person who made a decision. We took all the blame off of him and put it on Jada. Like, I don't even.
But why? That's what I want to get to. I want to get to the why did everyone blame Jada? And it's interesting. I know, just like me, you've been on social media, you've read the comments, you've read what people have said about her.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. And I get it. Will Smith, most people don't even know him, have never been in the room with him.
No.
So you're making the assumption that all of the characters that he has played, he is a sum of all of those. Well, that's acting. We don't really know who he is. And that's not to say that he's a bad person.
Right.
But I'm saying the same can be said about Jada. But people jump to conclusions about who she is, and she's this horrible person, and everyone hates her no matter what she says. I'm trying to figure out, when did this happen? We loved her and Set It Off. We loved her in just about everything she's ever done, right? A Different World. We
Yeah.
loved her in all of those
Yeah.
things. And then all of a sudden, there is this huge Jason's Lyric. We loved her in that. And then all of a sudden, we hate her. And I'm trying to figure out if it's because not we, because I don't, but if people believe that she has somehow torn apart our Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. We've all picked a side, and the side is
Will Smith.
Well, I'm not gonna say we. Let me look into no. I myself am of the opinion that everyone makes their own decisions. So let me say that. No, but I think people have chosen their hero, and so
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything I can to protect this hero, even if it's not look at the glaring truth that he made a decision.
Like we did Bill Cosby. I said it.
We gonna bring Bill.
I said it.
Bill Cosby.
I said it. I said it.
You
Yeah. I mean, Bill Cosby did some terrible things. Now, Cliff Huxtable, on the other hand, was one of my favorite people.
Was America's dad.
I mean,
you know what it is? It's the same. It's a typical thing. We don't want to see our heroes fall. You
Yeah.
don't want to see your hero make them. You just don't want to see your hero fall, like or realize that they are human, that they're capable of being a villain. Will Smith, for the longest, is, I mean, remarkable. Like it's someone I've,
Yeah.
as an
And
actor,
let's
looked.
be clear, I am not saying that Will Smith is Bill Cosby. What I'm saying
No,
is
still talking about
you
the
can
hero.
buy into the character that you have loved over the years, having never met that person, but because they embody the spirit of a character that was written for them so well
Of
that
course.
the lines become murky.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thing is, even when it comes down to the red table talk, now, just I feel the same way about that as I do Jada's new book. And that is, you cannot tell me that Will Smith did not know what he was walking into when he agreed to do. He's a seasoned vet of
Yeah.
this industry. So he understands that when the cameras are rolling and the mics are on, whatever you say, and when you agree to get in front of that,
Mm-hmm.
you will be held accountable for everything that is
Yeah.
said, everything that is done. So it wasn't like he was ambushed. He knew what the conversation was going to be about, and he said, okay. Now, my problem with that, everybody keeps saying, why is Jada spilling all of their business? Excuse me, Jada did not spill that business. August Alsina did that and did it in great detail. And I think because the internet is the internet,
Yeah.
it blew up and she felt the need to address it. I think had he not said anything, although I can't prove a negative, I'm not quite sure she would have brought that up. And if now you line up everything that she's saying in her book, which is about her life, which she has every right to talk about because
Mm-hmm.
it's her life,
Yeah.
and she's trying to sell books. So this is what you do. You promote it. So for everyone who's getting pissed off, why is she doing all this talking? She has a book she's selling.
She's supposed to be talking right
In
now.
the same way, you're an actor.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a film out, you have to get out and promote that film. You
Absolutely.
have to talk about it. No matter how tired people are about it,
Mm-hmm.
you're contractually obligated to help promote it, right? Now, when we look at the new revelations that Jada has allowed us to see, I also am very surprised. But look at the timeline. She said her and Will have not been living together or together at all since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Now go back to when August Alsina, before she got on Red Table Talk and addressed the issue, said, I sat down with Will Smith. I sat down with Will during the transition of their relationship from marriage to partners.
Mm-hmm.
But we glazed over that. Our ears didn't catch that part. And he gave me his blessing.
Yeah.
So if in 2016 they had not been living together.
You're doing math right
You're
now.
married. Oh,
You're
I'm
mathing.
doing
Okay,
logic
you're
is what
mathing.
I'm
Okay.
doing. You're married.
Yes.
God forbid, and I know this is not going to happen because I love Stacey dearly and I love you as well. If you and Stacey decided in 2016 that this is it, I'm not married. I've never been married. But riddle me this. Do you just wake up one morning and say that's it? Or have things been happening along the way? Arguments, disagreements, probably volatile situations,
Yeah.
and then you come to the realization this is it. Maybe you've tried to do counseling. Maybe you've tried to talk through it. Maybe you've tried to overlook some stuff. But in my opinion, I believe you finally come to a moment, 2016, when you say, you know what? Fuck this. We can't do this. But what we can do is be business partners.
Yeah. I don't think anything is by chance. So first thing. So go back to what you said earlier with the comment about the Will being a seasoned. This dude is he's a smart businessman. First of all.
Correct.
So I don't think anyone's sitting at the red table talk and not understand what's coming out. And I'm sure that any person that's probably been on red table talk or any interview period says, hey, you can ask these questions. I'm cool with these questions being asked. And I also want to
Because I ain't never been on the red table talk. Well, I can't be on there now, but I tell you what, I would have known what they're going to talk to me about.
Exactly. Also, I would like to see what, I'm sure that some people maybe have some power as to what you're going to show at the end. I would assume that out of all the people that I would think would have some power as to what's going to be shown is Will Smith, who is being who's being interviewed by his wife, ex-wife, business partner, what have you. It was still a brilliant business move. I look at all these as business moves. And the fact that everyone is up in
I
awe, whatever,
mean,
I think it plays right into what the agenda is. The agenda is, so if Will has a book, I'm going to put a book out. I'm going to talk about my jealousy or uh, of Tupac. I'm going to talk about that. People have always assumed it or made some, made some joke or whatever. I'm going to talk about that. Boom, I want to check the book out. Jada has a book out now. I'm going to talk about everything that people have wanted to know that have made comments. And actually, I respect them because in most cases, right, if someone says something about me, I'm like, no, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. I'm not Will Smith or Jada Pinkett and have those expectations, that fandom, those business obligations or whatever, where she could have easily, Red Table Talk's been out for how long? She could have easily said, hey guys, we've been divorced since 2016.
and she never did.
Because she knew she was about to drop a book. I'm saving that for my,
But
which is genius.
that's what you do.
That's what you're supposed to do. So I don't fault her for that. In fact, I'm like this. Hey, mama, that's a beautiful job. You saved all that or whatever. Same thing with Will. I think everybody as men or whatever, we're one of two mindsets. Hey man, you can't talk about my wife like that. I'm glad you did that. Or that was weak going up there hitting that man on. There's always one of those two.
Right.
There's no in between.
I am curious if I can throw a curveball in here. I am curious as I don't love Jada, but I have tremendous respect. And the only reason I don't say I love her is because I don't know her. And I think it's weird when people say, oh my God, I love him. I'm like, you don't even know him like that.
True.
But I have tremendous respect for her. Right?
You might want to walk up on stage and slap him.
I mean, but I will say I am a little curious. I saw she did an interview and she said, I was shocked when he called me his wife because we hadn't been together. We hadn't really talked like that in a long time. Now, for me, if I do love someone, I would think, I don't want to, I want to save face. I don't want him. I already know, I'm aware of what people are saying. And I'm also aware of how I can continue to, rake them over the coals or put the fire out. And so to say, I was surprised as anybody else when he called me his wife. I would be thinking, you saw how emotional he was. So clearly he still loves her, right? Because he was so, think about it. Because she also revealed that from the stage, Chris Rock came over and bent over and started talking to her. And so Will was upset about that as well. And she said, that's what you didn't see. And what he was saying was, I'm sorry, it was a joke or whatever. But Will couldn't hear that. He just saw Chris Rock is talking to my wife again. And oh, by the way, she revealed that when rumors were out about her and Will being on rocky ground and perhaps divorcing, Chris called her and asked her out.
That was great.
So minus that context, a little more understanding. With that context and Will not being able to hear it, but knowing this dude right here is trying to push up on what is supposed to be my wife that I want back. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
Okay, look, listen. We all can sometimes make knee-jerk reactions, right?
Of course.
So I don't condemn anybody who makes a mistake, but I don't, at the same time, I'm going to still call it what it is. Like no, he was tripping. Like Will at the, even if I hear what you're saying. That was, he saw that, we don't have to even have, it doesn't even matter who the names are. If I see someone talking to someone, talking to my wife or, talking to my wife, and I'm not going to go up on a live broadcast that the whole world is watching and assault him. Now, at the dinner party afterwards.
My dog just farted. I'm sorry. Blue.
At the dinner party, I'll probably, then we got to have that. It's not even going to be a discussion. It's going to be then, because then it's like, oh, did y'all hear that happen? There's no proof. It happened at a TMZ party unless someone pulls their phone out, but it's not going to be, that thing is for posterity now. That's
I get it.
No. You understand? Listen, let me tell you something as a man. When you it was an open-handed slap. That's disrespectful. I'm a fan of Chris Rock. I've been a fan of his. I mean, good God, since Saturday Night Live, since New
Yeah,
Jack City, since I'ma Get You Sucker. We can go back that
I'm
far.
with you. I'm with you on all of that. I
But
think
it's
whether
open, like
I don't, it could have been close
no, no, no,
to
no, 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 no,
me.
no, 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 Jack. Open handed is a statement. You can ask anybody named Mom. If you get, I think the only thing that might be worse is back, is possibly
Well,
backhanded.
see, to me, because I'm not a man, so for me,
Yeah.
if you put your hands on me, period, I'm gonna have an issue with it. So I am not
I hear you.
condoning.
But let me
I'm
just say
not saying
this:
any of that.
what happens? I'm telling you, as guys, we like if you remember the Terminator films where you see it, he's processing like this many people. This is the level of danger and all that stuff, right? After you're hit, you do that. You process everything like, okay, this is the danger level, and then all of a sudden in the corner it's like, what? Open-handed slap. It lets you know, and your intensity then is like, what? Wait, did he? You instant it. It's some.
Well,
I'm
well,
trying to
well,
tell you.
well. But hold on, Chris Rock didn't have none of that because he didn't do nothing.
No, but
So, but my point is, and he a man.
he's a man on
So,
camera in front
but
of
right,
millions of
but this
people.
is my counter to that.
Okay.
There have been numerous accounts of people,
Mm-hmm.
men and women,
Okay.
who have knee jerk reactions that change their lives forever. You
Correct.
have a knee jerk reaction because that's why they even have laws that they actually call crimes of passion.
Yeah.
And it
Correct.
is because in that moment you cannot think or see clearly and you do things that you otherwise would
Do
not
you? So
do.
let me ask you. Do you not? So you think that Will couldn't see clearly at that moment?
Well, this is where I have the problem that I think is unfair. I would not want anybody to explain away something that I did if they don't know me and they didn't ask me. And so in my head, I can't get over the fact that we're trying to paint all men with one broad brush as if they all respond the same. And they don't. That I know. And the same thing, they don't. You are a man, but I've dated some men. And I know some men who will tell you in one thing, I would never, but then you get them behind closed doors
True.
and they do
Okay.
all that.
Facts. I
So
totally agree. Okay.
my point is everybody is different. And I felt for Will because I think it was more
You
than
felt
just about
you felt for
I
Will
felt
when
for
Chris.
Will
You,
and I felt for Chris
oh, okay.
because I understood both. I felt for Chris in that how disrespectful, how hurt, how embarrassed in front of the world that you were slapped. And then when he talked about, I guess years ago, he did this interview and he talked about how he was bullied as a kid and I'm assuming never got over that. And so in many ways, this was that. But I've also seen Chris Rock be an asshole. I've also seen him not be, this, diminutive character who can't fend for himself. I've seen him that way as well. The same thing goes for Will Smith. I don't know him personally, like I don't know Chris Rock, but I've seen him, be this way and that way. But what I will say about both of them, they are human. I feel horrible for Chris Rock
Correct.
that no matter what he does, no matter great body of work he does from this point forward, he will always be reduced to the slap.
It
I
is
feel
sad.
bad for Will Smith that
You think
although, let me
you
tell
think he,
you why.
okay.
I think him being human, much as we are, he doesn't get the same grace as we do. That we all have done things that we said we would never do. We all have been put in situations
Not
that we have
me.
acted out.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Already, you lying. We've done or said things that we said and said we would be able to maintain composure,
Mm-hmm.
and we were not. And so I think because he is on a pedestal, he's one of the biggest celebrities on the planet. He does not get the same grace that we do.
Isn't that
And I look at what The Rock did for Hawaii. His intentions were good, right? And I get it. Will's were not good, but the point is his intentions were good. And we just shredded him to pieces for it. And in his mind, he's like, okay, but look at it from my perspective. Nobody wants to. They're seeing it the way they want to.
do you not? So I often ask this question as I mean, I'm an artist. We're all artists, and you want to get to a certain level in your art where you're applauded and respected by millions.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the most part, though, you understand what comes with that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's easy for me to say I'm on the outside looking in. But I think to a certain level,
This is yummy.
I think to a certain level, I think they understand that that's just part of doing business.
Okay, let me ask you this:
Mm-hmm.
How big of a celebrity is Denzel Washington?
It's the fact that we can just say Denzel and we all know who he is. You just say Denzel, just one name.
And yet he was about to skull drag somebody in the middle of a big game.
I will not have you besmirched, Lord Denzel.
We ain't got to besmirch it, but what we're
Don't
going to
you-
do is talk truth about it. He was about to skull drag
You don't know the
somebody.
full story. There were nachos. He got nachos. The cheese was cold. And so he was saying, hey, man, hey, do you want Lonzo to come out? He was trying to explain. He just wants some hot cheese.
Oh, that's great. But it was caught on camera, out of context. We didn't hear none of that. And what we
By the
saw
way,
was
I don't know
Jay-Z
anything-
had to step
I don't
in
know
and
anything
say,
about
hey,
cheese, by the
you
way.
got 99 problems and you about to have one more. So my point is, no matter how big and cool, calm, and collected as they come, i.e. Denzel Washington, he was like, don't forget I'm still a New Yorker.
Have you ever got cold cheese with your nachos? You might lose.
I don't need that mess.
You so...
The way I swirled my ponytail. But my point is, because we are all human, we've done things that we never thought we would do. You are terrified of my dogs. And 2 months ago, you would have said I would never.
You just going to say that on the camera?
Got to. But look at you now. So my point is, I think as a human being, you can find yourself evolving or devolving to do things that you never thought you would. So my only thing was, I am not justifying what Will Smith did. I stand in it today, just like I did all those weeks, months ago that it was.
Mm-hmm.
He was wrong.
Correct.
But my thing is, why can we not extend him the same grace that we extend all these other clowns who whoop each other on social media for fun? And it's interesting. I watch this Blueface chick, dude, I don't even know who's who, but them two people, they beat each other silly, and we watch it, we applaud it. But all of a sudden,
I will say that's the brand though. So I do want to say this: he's built a brand. He's built a brand of clean cut, of this is what the brand is. And so when you see anything contrary to that, we I hate saying we because I ain't part of that, but people for the most part. I'm guilty of it too. We're guilty of it. There is no grace. It's just and that's wrong. So
because in my mind I'm like,
you.
Who built that brand? Was it for this? Lane just walking eating, don't she?
You just stopped me and like
she walked in chewing. I'm like, what is happening? She just walked in eating.
It's hilarious. Your face.
While y'all in here podcasting, I was eating me some munchos. What?
Your face.
Anyway, I think it's a tangled web. Here's an example.
I thought you were gonna say entangled web.
No, I ain't gonna say entanglement.
Okay.
But I think it's a tangled web. You meet with an agent, you get all your people around you, and they decide what you will be. And that's what they package and sell to the public. But then when your slip shows, not you, because I know you don't wear slips.
Thank you.
But I'm saying, when the real you comes out and someone sees it, here's an example. Mm-hmm. Anthony Mackie. I don't know if you saw the video. Typically known as a wonderful, kind, sweet, because that's the image that we see of him. He is trying to enjoy himself, have a little liquor, little cigar, minding his own business.
Correct.
And what happens? Someone walks over, asking for an autograph, a kid. He says no. The kid goes back and gets his mama or his grandmama. They come over, recording, hoping to catch him being off brand. Right?
Yeah.
And he tried to still be nice, but now all of a sudden they're trying to create this whole narrative that he's not a nice guy. So again, I feel like we create this facade of who you are, and then when you don't live up to it, we tear you down. Who's to say, again, because in this particular case, when it comes to Will and Jada, Jada is the villain. Will is the superhero.
Correct.
But we don't know what Will has done. We don't know what shit he's done. We're making the assumption that he's fine. Now, this goes outside of the slap. Now I'm just talking about back to the book, her promoting what's in it, her life, which I believe everybody has a right to tell their life story, whether you want to agree with it or not, whether you
Correct.
want to read it. These are her experiences. I don't know what it's like to lose a best friend to death. I don't know what that's like. I don't know how I would respond. I might be stuck in, listen, both of my mothers are dead and gone.
Mm-hmm.
There are many people who say, oh my God, get over it already.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, but you don't know what she meant to me. I have a right to reminisce and think about her whenever I want to. And if I want to post pictures, and I get it, you could say, well, that was your mother. But if, God forbid, any of my friends were to pass away, I would feel the same way. I don't care anything about that. I'm like, you do not get to hold my feelings hostage. And you don't get to dictate when I get to feel for someone that I love very deeply or not. Now, having said that, I will also say, if you say you love Will, even though you don't like the game that the world plays and social media plays, I think there may come a time that you say, for the sake of him, because I love him, I will fall back. Because I love him and I see he's being crucified and called all of these names, and they're making me out to be the bad guy, and he's a terrible person for allowing me to do this for him. So I'm going to sacrifice, and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm not going to talk about him anymore. I'm not going to talk about Tupac anymore.
Well, how? Okay, is there what's the word? A timeline on how that works? Was it like a what's the word? Help me now. Monetarium, like
statute of limitations.
A time frame to say, hey, you can't talk about it during for this period, but because she's talking about it now, it's in the book. So I think we don't like. I believe there's been conversations, many conversations. Hey, I feel this way about you. You're talking about your friend all the time or whatever. I mean, kind of makes me look kind of stupid out here or whatever. I'm sure that conversation was had.
Well, if they're not together and haven't been together since 2016, when all of these posts and nostalgic memories come up, then
correct. So here's the thing. So I believe, I hate to say it's all planned, but yeah, I feel like that's why you don't think it's planned?
Well, this is what I do know. If you're married, even if you're not with the person anymore, as she says, they haven't been together since 2016, if his name is in the book, I'm certain they sat down. Let's unpack it like this. She said they've not lived together since 2016. They've been apart and they only come together for media events, to be seen together, to create the illusion, the smoke and mirrors that they're still together.
Business.
So you mean to tell me you will go to great lengths to walk the red carpet together just for a night that people are going to forget, but you don't sit down and talk to me about something that is going to be printed and be available for people to read forever? I don't believe that. I believe she said to him, these are the things I'm going to include the book. Because why are you protecting your image, and then the book is going to destroy all of that? No, so he had to have said, I'm cool with that. For all I know, Will Smith got a whole nother wife, a whole nother life, a whole nother girl, and is happy. And we're the only ones dragging him.
The thoughts and views of Jasmine Sanders do not reflect that of Moiba El Mustafa.
But do you know that? He might have a whole nother situation.
No, that's absolutely true.
We don't know. He might be happy. He might be like, I don't want her no more anyway. So I don't know why y'all tripping and trying to,
that.
I mean, we don't know.
He ain't saying that. You know why I know he ain't saying that? Because he slapped a man on national TV.
I think that was ego.
That's not ego. Let me ask you something. For years, all comedians in a hosting capacity are known. They're going to throw jab. That's part of it. You are part of the joke if you are in the audience. And even if you're not in the audience, I'm going to make people laugh. I'm going to talk about people that are popular. Jada Pinkett is popular. Red Table Talk is popular. She is popular. So Chris Rock is up there. I'm going to talk about a popular thing. So Will knows this.
Correct.
It doesn't
listen. However,
hold on. Back to this. When you say that people do knee jerk reactions, yes. I don't know if that's necessarily a knee jerk reaction.
So let me ask you something,
because he
Mustafa.
walked up there slowly.
Let me ask you something.
Okay, here we go.
let's say
don't be. I know.
a random person
Here we go.
kept hitting on your wife.
Okay. Random.
Well, somebody that you know, because clearly Chris Rock and Will Smith have been friends for a long time.
Friends?
So
Do we know
they,
they're friends?
yeah,
Hmm.
they were in the
Well,
past.
it's the same way we know Will and Jada been together.
Well, the reason I know that is because I happen to be not in the comedian circle, but I know someone who is adjacent who has told me that they were friends. So I'm saying
That's her. That's her stunting a little bit, letting people
that's
know.
not me stunning. That's me
her
being honest.
letting her know what it is.
But my point is, if you had a friend in your circle, even if they weren't your best friend, but you knew them well, they knew your wife, they knew your kids, all of that.
Yeah.
You found out that person was hitting on your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like serious hitting on her. He's like, hey. And then even though they apologize and say, oh, my bad, I thought y'all was separated. If you hit on somebody, that means you've been thinking about it. You just don't wake up and be like, you know what I'm going to do? No, that's been on your mind. And you waited for the opportunity to do it. I'm going to go with yes.
Okay.
And then you had a conversation with them to say, hey, man, you got to back up on my wife. Like,
first of all,
you can't.
No one's gonna have a conversation and go like that. Go, hey man, you got to quit. No, that's not how that thing's gonna go, right? The conversation is you can ask any man, ask any person that's with somebody. They're gonna be like, hey, and a lot of words are gonna be said. It's not gonna be amen.
But that means you're proving my point. That means a lot of words were said, and then you get on the stage and you try to belittle her. And again, I'm not saying.
Wait. You're talking about. Okay, you're saying in regards Chris trying to
holler it. Correct.
Oh, of course. But here's the thing. You're a comedian. It's like
I don't care.
Okay, it's no different than Kevin Hart giving jokes.
No.
To Dave or Dave Chappelle getting up there and talking about Kevin Hart and his special. That's his boy. These are friends or whatever. So it's like you understand. I think comedians do. I don't know. You can ask DL.
Fancy, you should bring that up.
Oh God. Okay.
I love DL. Okay. I love working with him. We are super close friends. We've been super close friends for 10 years.
Okay.
There's some shit that he can say that gets under my skin. And I'm like, hey, that's personal. Don't make fun of me about that. And it irritates me and we fight about it. But you don't see that. That's the difference, is because on radio, you don't get the opportunity to see that. But there are some things that I don't like that he jokes about.
Mm-hmm.
But
do you slap him on the air while you're working?
Well then, I wait till later. Because you couldn't see it because it's radio.
We can still hear it.
But my point is, I could see how you could be fed up and be like, oof. Like, that's it. Like, I've asked you not to do this. You keep doing it. I'm going to have to release the Kraken. Now, in my case, I don't, because I know he's not malicious and he doesn't really mean any harm to me. Mm-hmm. But, again, like you said, you alluded to, I know they are close. How close they were or whatever, I don't know, because I don't know either one of them.
Well, it doesn't matter.
So for me, my overall theme is, I find it quite interesting that on a personal level, in our own personal lives, we understand how it would be upsetting if someone inserted themselves in our lives and they don't know us.
Correct.
But when you get to a certain level of stardom, all of a sudden everybody has something to say and you don't know them. I don't know Jada. I don't know what conversations her and Will are having behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. He might be fine with everything that has happened. I don't know. He may have given his blessing on the book. I don't know. And neither do you. When was the last conversation you had one-on-one with Will Smith?
That was just yesterday. I told you about that. We had lunch at the, where did we have lunch at, Lena?
He high again, Lena.
Lena, where we have lunch at?
He high.
You said, where we have lunch at? We just talked about
Blue, get him.
No, you are absolutely,
my dog.
You are absolutely
that's
right.
my only thing. I am not trying to say Will is right, Jada is right, somebody's wrong. My thing is, and I believe this about everything, leave a little room for some truth. Not what you claim it to be, not what you think, not what you heard, but what do you know? So to castigate her and call her all these terrible names to uplift him, or some people are dogging him out, calling him all of these terrible names. My thing is, if you don't really know the situation, you can have fun with it, but don't get so serious about it that now you're calling for the end of his career or the end of her career, or now you want to say,
Yeah.
she was never worth anything to begin with. She was riding his coattails.
Well, first of all,
how do you know that?
Someone that says that clearly has not seen Jason's lyric, A Different World, Set It Off, The Nutty Professor. I don't know about Woo. No, not that.
I didn't see that.
We're not going to talk about that. But yes.
Hawthorne. That was
yes.
bad.
No,
that's a bad example. Sorry, I apologize. But my thing is, and I think I am so passionate about it because
we're tearing down women, tearing down a strong,
and you know what,
black woman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That first and foremost.
Yeah.
And second, I know what it's like for people to make assumptions about who I am and what I've done. And you don't know me. And yet you judge me based on what you think. You've known me forever.
Right.
And you know a lot of people have thought a myriad of things about me.
Correct.
Most of them incorrect.
Some of them no, I'm kidding.
Right on the money. So my thing is, if you don't know, yeah, you can have fun and on social media, which is a fake world anyway, and say all of these things. But if you really don't know something, don't fuck with folks' their money. Don't do that.
No,
their
I
livelihood
totally
and all. Don't do that.
I agree with that. But and also this to add to that, I think we talked about this before, just in our conversations of late, is about the canceling thing. Man, it would really suck to lose everything based off a mistake, be it knee jerk, be it calculated, but to
based
lose
on
everything.
Assumptions.
Yeah, to lose everything that you have worked hard for, especially when you've given people so much of your life and you know given
100%.
I don't think we value art like that. That's why we're so easy to throw people away after they do something or whatever. I think that's another piece.
That is very sad.
Yeah, we throw people away for when it doesn't suit us anymore.
Sad.
Yeah, so
it's very sad.
I do want to say that I think the whole cancel, and everybody says, I mean, I'm not saying anything to reinvent the wheel here, but cancel culture is absolutely crazy because it's an over.
We'll talk about cancel culture on your podcast.
Absolutely.
On this one, we were talking about Will and Jada. Cheers!
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your valuable insight. Look how I just shut that down. I was like, we finna go off into another direction. We've been talking for 4 hours. No more, Moiba. Get your own Mustafa podcast. Don't do that up in here. Thank you, Moiba, for your valuable insight. I do appreciate it. I don't want to come across as combative because I love when men and women are able to sit and have an adult conversation where it's okay to disagree or have differences of opinion. I think that is healthy. And I think it's even healthier if you can walk away and still be friends. Now get the fuck out because you are not my friend.
Perfect. I didn't think so. Lena, can you let me get out of here.
Blue, help him out.
Can you move the guard out so I can get out?
No, you're stuck here. Thank you, Moiba.
Thank you, Jazz.